HotWireFoamCutterInfo.com presents the Combination Foam Cutter. I would like to start by showing some diagrams of the basic components found in the combination foam cutter. This entire cutter will be focused around a variant of the small hand cutter found on the website. All of the electrical components and power supply are attached to this hand cutter. This eliminates all unnecessary additional components for electrical attachment on the tabletop cutter. Think of this handheld unit as the workhorse for the combination foam cutter. The most basic function of this unit will be straight wire cutting, which uses 26 gauge nichrome wire. The wire is attached to the support arms by wing nuts and thumb screws. This makes wire tension adjustments and changing the wires much easier. Using 20 gauge nichrome wire, this small hand cutter will also allow for bendable wire cutting. To account for proper circuit resistance, this bendable wire will be approximately 20 to 24 inches in overall length. Needless to say, you'll have plenty of bendable wire for practically anything that your project requires. The next function of this cutter is a vertical tabletop cutter. The cutting surface is approximately 12 inches by 12 inches, which should serve all hobbyists relatively well. On the back of the cutter, there is a small port that allows for the small hand cutter to attach to the table's base. Extension legs will be provided, and the elbow PVC pieces are freely movable to make fine adjustments in the leg positioning. You have anywhere from about 3 to 4 inches above the cutting surface to cut foam. And because the handheld unit is freely movable, you can adjust the cutting wire to make angled cuts. And the fourth function of this cutter is a horizontal tabletop cutter. This function employs both T-nut fasteners and a brand new component, which is a 3-inch turned eye bolt. The turned eye bolt allows for the handheld cutter to easily attach to the tabletop surface to function as the horizontal cutting wire. The threads on the turned eye bolt extend full shaft, which allows you to come within millimeters of full thickness cutting. And now with that brief introduction, we'll show you some live video. So here is the handheld cutter using the cross connector, and that piece is going to attach into the tabletop base. And at the top of the copper arms, you'll find the thumb screws and wing nuts, which will help interchange between your straight wire cutting and the bendable wire cutting. Here you can see the bendable 20 gauge nichrome with ring terminals affixed at either end. When the power supply is engaged, just a few turns of either thumb screw will reapply tension to your relaxed nichrome wire, of course being careful not to touch the wire itself. And here's a quick demo just in real time so you can see how well the straight wire cuts. And I believe this is right about 2-inch extruded polystyrene. Now with the bendable wire in place, you can see how well it holds its shape when bent. And after the third attempt of trying to keep everything in frame, you can see that the wire cuts very unique shapes, and again, this is all in real time. Attaching the handheld unit to the base is really quite simple. All you have to do is pass one leg of the base between the cutting arms and then slide the wire down the cut groove. Once the handheld unit is in place, all you have to do is adjust the legs to make sure the table is relatively level so it doesn't wobble. With the power supply engaged, again, just a few small turns of the thumb screws to tighten your wire and you're good to cut. Here's about 20 seconds or so of real-time cutting, just so you can see that the wire stays pretty hot and you can move along in a project relatively quickly. Last but not least, the horizontal cutter. The extension legs are not necessary for this portion of the cutter. All you really need is just the base and the turned eye bolts. You can see here that I'm setting the bolts at a varying height. That way we can cut a hill easily. Again, using the thumb screws, you attach the handheld unit through the eye of the turned eye bolt. And I typically reapply the wire and put a large amount of tension on it before I start cutting. The turned eye bolts will keep it in place really well. But again, just a couple of turns of the thumb screws and it should reapply tension to your wire. Again, here's a demo for real-time cutting. And keep in mind that this was a very rudimentary example. You can get way more specific on the measurements of height. That way you can, pass a long strip of hill through and get a really nice consistent plane throughout its entire length. But once you have that height set, it's also really nice to be able to shape out columns or just plane off, a quarter inch or a half inch of long strips of foam. And there you have it, the combination foam cutter. If you are interested in one of these models as a pre-order before it goes live on the website, please send me an email through sales@hotwirefoamcutterinfo.com. I hope to start shipping orders by May 1st once I receive the power supplies from the manufacturer, but I would like to start building these units to save on construction time. So if you're legitimately interested in one of these models, go ahead and send me an email and I'll get an invoice all squared away for you. If you have any questions, again, feel free to email me at this address or, of course, info@hotwirefoamcutterinfo.com. Please do not send inquiries or questioning through the YouTube mail system, just to sales@hotwirefoamcutterinfo.com. Thank you very much, guys, and I hope you enjoy it.